Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Greg. It's coming to you with a story about the balloon blow up, and the blowback on the balloon blow up. I kid you not, my friends. The Chinese have gotten very upset that we did not like our sovereignty being violated by them flying over the entirety of the United States. And they decided that they would have something to say about it. So I'm going to stop that share. Hang on. Oops. Hello. And here I am. Now I'm going to refresh over here so I can watch the chat since we are in a live session here, guys. So, guys, what's happened here is the United States of America, of course, shot down, as you all know now, the balloon, but only after it traveled across the entirety of the United States for a week. It didn't start in Montana. It started over Alaska. In fact, over the Aleutian Islands. It could have been taken down in our airspace as it approached the Aleutians. It could have been taken out across the Bering Sea or anywhere over Alaska, over United States territory. Alaska is the most unpopulated state, not Montana. Montana is the most unpopulated state in the lower 48. But in the middle of Alaska, there's nothing there. I mean, nothing in terms of people, roads, or anything, just, rivers and mountains and rocks and trees. So, guys, I just wanted to bring this to you in that here's what incenses me about the whole thing. China has been very extremely belligerent overall, as much as it could be always. Now, they had limits in their earlier days with dealing with powers outside of the region because China was dirt poor for a long time. But what they do? They invaded Tibet. They took over Tibet. They took over the land of the Uyghurs. They took over, and they rule a lot of the land. There's more Mongolians live inside China than live inside of Mongolia. What's it called? Inner Mongolia. But anyway, that's where actually most Mongolian people live in China. And the Chinese have decided lately that they can't be teaching Mongolian in their schools. So, what they do, they take over an area like Tibet, take over the entire country. They take over and do genocide on the Uyghurs in Xinjiang. That they take over the South China Sea. The South China Sea has got areas which there's a treaty that China themselves signed. They signed the what I call the Law of the Sea Treaty. That's the nickname for it, but the real name is UNCLOS, which is the law of the Sea Convention is another name for it. So it's a treaty, United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. That's where UNCLOS comes from. That's a treaty I actually fought against. I actually went to Senator Vitter of California was against it, and I went to him and congratulated him for his stand and fighting that treaty. And somewhere was a big photo of me with a bunch of other guys with him. Back when I was chairman of the policy committee of the National Space Society, because I thought that treaty had bad ramifications for the future space development and privatization of asteroid and lunar resources and other things. But that's another story. Earthquakes. Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of earthquakes going on in Turkey. We got a lot of stuff to get to. There's a train crash situation in Ohio. We'll touch on that briefly. I may have to open up another window to cover the earthquake stuff. We're not going to stay on all night, though, my friends. I've got some issues here, and so we're going to have to. I got to get up early in the morning, so we're going to cover this stuff. So real quick, what frosts me is this: see, China went into the South China Sea. There are several nations around the South China Sea that had rights of property within the sea itself, so far out, including an economic exclusion zone as defined by the Law of the Sea Treaty. And this was precedent that was established even before the Law of the Sea Treaty. These precedents for how far you can go out and what you can mine, where you got unique economic zones, were accepted worldwide before then even. But China goes in and claims area that goes inside all these other countries' areas. It says, well, this is ours. This is ours by the 9-dash line. What was the 9-dash line established by? Oh, some Chinese settlers sailed through there once upon a time and looked at it. So it was theirs. You know, they can claim all the world's oceans by that metric because the Ming Navy sailed everywhere with giant sloops. Some of those ships are bigger than anything we build today. They had a huge navy, the Ming Navy. But when they got Confucius, when China went Confucius, they started decided the only thing to look at was their naval button, and they'd scrap the huge navies, kind of like us scrapping our space program almost in the 60s after Apollo, late 70s. So, but in any event, you know, we decided in the 70s to look at our naval buttons collectively, similar to that in many ways. But the situation here is that China goes in and claims all this area. They nudge everybody out. They, you know, there are rights of passage through international sea waters. They said, "No, this is not international waters. It's our territory." We put a ship going through. See, a third of the world's commerce goes through those waters. Our allies depend on trade through those waters. I'm talking about the very lifeblood of China and South Korea depend on freedom of access to those waters. We got people out there on Guam. We've got, you know, Guam is American territory. All these places depend on trade going through there. And so for China to say, nah, this is ours, you can't go through unless we give you permission. And so, you know, we've continued to exercise the rights as set up by these UN and these treaties that have been signed by all these nations and things that have been accepted. Even goes back to what was that economic treaty signed in the 40s? But anyway, there's just several things that play into this that they really had no right to. Well, they even claim islands that legitimately belong to the Philippines. By all these conventions, certain islands that legitimately belong to the Philippines. Philippines sued them in the World Court in The Hague. The court ruled on favor of the Philippines, and China says, up yours. We're taking it anyway. So this is the way China is. They go and take whatever they want, so you can't go through it. And then when we've put our ships and planes, so they recently almost rammed one of our aircraft, they almost rammed our ships. They almost ram, they will actually hit ships of these other countries in their own waters. And they're extremely aggressive. They're a daggum bully. And so what else did they do? Genocide, invading other countries. They're extremely nationalistic. They're socialistic. National socialism is what? It's not communism. There's another word for it. It's got that big N. Oh, yeah. The man whose name had an H in it, you know, who was Das Fiala. Yeah, he was that ilk, right? Seems to me that they resemble that more than the C word, the Marx system. But, you know, they got flavors of both, I suppose, with Chinese characteristics, whatever that means. It means whatever works for the power and satisfaction of keeping the CCP in power. That's all that matters to these political parties, is that they stay in power. But they are very aggressive, very much a bully. They tried to recently roll back this wolf warrior image just a little bit, but we can see it's come back out in spades. You know, this is what we, yeah, I didn't say the word, Stan. I will not hide that. I'll show it because you didn't say it, but it's kind of similar to that. Yeah, and this time it's not what we normally call the N word. It's a different word. It's got an A in it. So 25 above, 4.5 earthquakes in Turkey. Yeah, they had a 7.8 there, almost 8.0 from what I hear. Alaska, howdy there. Anton, U.S. has not ratified the law of the sea. It's in effect. It's in effect now. I'm one of the guys who fought against it real hard. I can show you articles where I worked against the law of the sea treaty. I worked hard against it, guys. Xi Jinping has a little mustache. Yeah, I'm out of state. Chuck Norris, how you doing, bud? How you doing? Good to see you here. All right. Somebody had hid you from the channel. I unhid you. I saw your name in the hid. Mods, go light tonight. EAM's coming in. Oh yeah, a little instruction to mods. Don't be knocking people out just for expressing opinions on my channel. I do believe in freedom of speech. That's why I'm president of the Freedom Restoration Foundation. So I allow people to have opinions that differ. There's some of your mods on other channels that run by different rules. That's fine. The other channels are free to use whatever the rules they want. And that's their business. I'm not challenging that or saying anything one way or the other. I'm just saying I want to have a little bit more of a freedom of speech atmosphere. If what I want banned is if somebody comes in with, like a porn channel, a porn bot, somebody's using. Now somebody's using a foul mouth, take their message out. If they continue, time them out. If they can't if they can't figure it out, then take them out. But I've had some people got taken out that shouldn't have been taken out, and I found that. So let's go easy, mods. Let's go easy. You're mod in my room now, so you're not following the rules of other rooms. Okay, that said, let's move on. 5 degrees here in western Alberta. Yeah, that's interesting. That's kind of warm for you guys right now, right? I want to run for U.S. president. Okay, Anton. Have at it, man. Get somebody going for it. We're all happy. All righty, so let's go on here. I want Ukrainians to depose. Oh, okay. Who knows? Who knows? That's up to them. That's up to them. So Tim says, I knew what you meant. Okay, very good. Yeah, we've had some people that got taken out that shouldn't have been. But anyway, you weren't one of them, Tim. But I didn't see you the other day. Just didn't see your comments. So I can't really see all the comments when they roll across. In fact, I see them even after the mod sim because there's a delay going on my computer here. So what I'm trying to say is China's been very belligerent. Like I said, they've been challenging people going through areas of sea that does not belong to them, that they've claimed and appropriated. Let somebody else claim and appropriate land. This area of sea is a huge territory just for some nation to go in and claim, especially when they're claiming areas that actually belong to other nations. That's called an invasion. So we're talking about Russia invading. China's been doing this for years. Of course, Russia has too. But China has been really in the invasion department. So, and the CCP has been very much an invasion-oriented party. So the idea that they would invade Taiwan is nothing new. They've been invading stuff from the beginning. Look here, they signed a treaty saying they would maintain 2 systems in Taiwan, or not Taiwan, Hong Kong for 50 years. See how that went? China does not honor any treaty. China does what China wants to do when they want to do it. They will sign a treaty and try to get you to honor your end. And if you don't honor, they'll go rah, 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 rah at you. And that's where they are. You can see how they get hostile about anybody when they crap about them, complain about them, they go full tilt hostile. Just like when they lectured Lincoln and company in Alaska and had a joint meeting between the State Department on our side and their equivalent on their end. And when they met in Alaska, about a little over a year ago. So that's what the Chinese do. That's how they're acting to everybody. And you see what they're doing with, so on the basis of them conquering Tibet, because Tibet had borders with India, suddenly on the basis now, Tibet's now ours. Anything that might have been a border dispute between Tibet and India, they said, oh, well, this was Tibetan land, so it's ours now. And so they got into war with India way back when. And now they're having skirmishes on the line of actual control between China and India right now. It's a very ugly situation there. They're pushing against Bhutan. They're pushing against Nepal or Burma. Every country that borders China has border fights with them and issues because the Chinese keep pushing. They keep pushing to grab more, take this, take that. That's what they do. Hey, China and Russia came close to war. So it got really ugly there. In fact, it's sometime in the future, China's already expressed that Vladivostok is theirs. So expect that one day they're going to be trying to take a chunk of Siberia. That's why I said a long time ago, the United States should have made peace with Russia to hold China at bay, because Russia is more at risk in China than anybody. But we've kind of driven them into China's pocket. Had we made that kind of deal with them, they might not have been felt threatened by Ukraine getting close to the West. If they had really known and could have felt comfortable the idea that we weren't going to go and invade Moscow, because now we're all buddy allies, maybe that invasion would have never happened. I said maybe. I don't know, because I told you earlier they had certain insecurities, and a lot of that invasion was based on those insecurities, and maybe that just could not have been satisfied any other way. So maybe it was just destined to happen, but I don't really think so. I really think if we'd have made the Ruskies feel comfortable on our side, they would have focused on China and not Ukraine. It's very unfortunate that they invaded Ukraine. Now, some people in here are, I'm not taking sides between the two here. I'm just telling you that an invasion is, anytime it happens, Who suffers? It's the people. It's not usually the governments and those people that you really like or don't like. I'll tell you, all government's evil. All of them. Every stinking government we got in the world right now, it stinks. Just about it. There's not much in the way of exception to that in this world today. The governments have all metastasized into all kinds of corruption. It's all over the world. Every swinging, stinking government is loaded up and full of corruption. They all need to have their houses cleaned. So that's what I got to say about it. So Tommy, what is that? Oh, Tommy's in. All right, guys, let's be careful. I'm not in here to call people names, okay? I'm for freedom of speech, but try to lay low on that. Call me. Lay low on that, please. Let's see. I've been saying that for years about China. I agree wholly with you. And looked at the base of the Arctic. Oh yeah, China's claiming to be an Arctic nation. They actually claim that they are an Arctic nation. How? They're so darn far from the Arctic, it's not funny. We have border on the Arctic with Alaska, Russia, and Canada, Denmark through Greenland, are Arctic nations. Norway is an Arctic nation. So how you doing, Chewy? So the fact that China is so belligerent, the fact that China, nudges you when you get out in international waters that they've illegally appropriated, and yet they get all huffy because you take actions to shoot something down that's flying across your country at an altitude that puts you at risk for an EMP, in which they can snoop your cell phone data more than the satellite flying in space. So we allow satellites flying in space, but when you're in the atmosphere going over a country, that's different. Yeah, the Russians shot down Gary Powers for doing that in U-2, and Gary Powers' plane was higher than that balloon. In fact, the Russians shot down a civilian airline flying over the Kamchatka Peninsula. It got off course. Korean Airlines, KAL007. Interesting, right number. And it happened to have Congressman McDonald on it, who happened to be the head of the, what's that foundation's name? Somebody help me out. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. It's like a libertarian type group. Very anti-communist organization. So, all right, somebody help me out. My memory's getting short here. AEA, Alabama Education Association. What are you talking about? AEA. Oh, that's your name, AEA. Okay. Well, some of y'all usually leave that comment. AEA. What's AEA stand for? Teresa, don't you agree? This is only what we are hearing. Oh, well, there's a lot of things we hear. There's a lot of things we don't hear. I'm going to show you something, guys. Let me start out. I should have shown y'all this from the get-go. Canadian Prepper made a comment, and I respect the comment because it's really true. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of YouTubers and that are suddenly all experts on what's going on stuff that they've never dealt with in their life. John Birch Society. That's what I want to say. Thank you for that. Third Eye Jedi. Thank you for that. LaRouche Pack. No, he wasn't part of the LaRouche Pack. John Birch Society, but LaRouche was definitely on that side. He was one interesting character. Yeah, he had the Fusion Energy Foundation. I used to deal with some of the people from that group. Sometimes they come across some of the other organizations I dealt in. So let me do a share screen. I'm going to show you guys something. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, native Canadian Prepper. He said, suddenly everybody's a balloon expert. And yeah, that's true. But I'm going to show you my credentials. This is a published scientific paper written by the chief engineer of Raven Industries, the builder of the balloons in the United States. So this is the sole manufacturing company of scientific balloons in the United States, in Sulphur Springs, Texas. Now, Palestine's where they launch them. And who? Who? Greg Allison, High Altitude Research Corporation, Huntsville, Alabama. There you go. I am jointly a co-author of a scientific paper published and resident right now on Raven's website, the balloon company. And this is all about the return of the balloon as an aerospace test platform. And we're talking about various test platforms to include some of my own work. You've seen me show this picture here before. Now, Mike Smith was not on this boat with me, but he's been out to sea with me a couple of other times. Yeah, this is on my balloon launch return vehicle. This is some of the design information and stuff like that. That was our ground station for that vehicle. There it is. And again, this is various balloons you can get and their performance characteristics of these balloons, load bearing over the atmosphere, altitude you can get, things like that. These charts you can go by. But you know, you look at displacement of the balloon, the buoyancy, how much helium to put in it. That's how you work this stuff out, my friends. I know this stuff. So let me ask you a question. How many YouTubers are there who have written a scientific paper on balloons at all? Name one other YouTuber in all the YouTube universe who's ever written a scientific paper on balloons. Name one. There are none. Not only that, mine is published on the corporate website of the company that builds these. So there is my credentials. You might think maybe I know something about the topic at hand. If you make a negative comments about anyone who is not here to defend themselves, is that right behavior? Yeah, if somebody's here talking about somebody else, you can silence the comment, but don't ban them. They're taking worm orders. I am. Would be honored to, yeah, I am taking worm orders. It's you can go to greengregs.com. I am taking worm orders, greengregs.com. You're right, Tim. Greg Allison. What do you think about WEF? Oh my God, I talk about WEF a lot, Sid, and not in the most loving sort of way. Sid, you need to watch some other videos. I cover that. I will go back to covering it. I got some more to cover there. Balloons. You're right, Chuck Norris. I know something about balloons. This is something I have worked, something I have been quite intimately involved in for a good portion of my life. At least 10 years solid doing balloon launched rockets. And I have taken them out to sea. I know rockets and I know balloons. So how many other YouTubers have got this kind of experience? This actually published a paper. How many other YouTubers have led projects? I said led projects that launch balloons at sea. I don't think there is any. So freedom of speech is awesome. Yeah, listen, guys, I have the Freedom Restoration Foundation, so I don't want to just squelch speech. But I will ask the people to be decent and not attack other people, especially if they can't defend themselves. That's a good point. But you might make one comment, but leave it with that. You're not my air rifle AA, but also you are. Stan, I don't even know what that means. You got my head spinning, Stan. All right, so we're going to go look at some other stuff here. I just wanted you to see this to establish my credentials. A lot of people talk credentials. I can show them and prove them. Been there, done it, like the rocket motor at my knee, the test stand in my back, the DCX rocket that sits in my backyard. Or how many times have you seen me broadcasting on my Galactic Greg's channel from the Marshall Space Flight Center, maybe my office there? Yeah, I might know something about space. I might know something about prepping. I show you my gardens. I show y'all how to grow stuff. I tell you about prepping. I show you how to survive nuclear warfare. who does a better job of that than me. Anyway, in the old days, we called that common courtesy. Yeah, let's just keep common courtesy in the house, guys. Let's keep, yes, I am a rocket scientist. As a matter of fact, I am a rocket scientist. How many YouTubers are that? China fumes after U.S. pops its balloon, warns of possible responses to clear overreaction. So, guys, this is what frosts me. Yeah, possible. Now, here's one of the statements they make. China, you shouldn't be reading from an article, not directly. I mean, you can kind of cite from it, but don't read it directly. I see other YouTubers do that. That's really a copyright violation, by the way. So in fact, it's a little dangerous to show it, but what I'm going to do is read the quotes. Typically, you can show the headlines, but what's featured here are the quotes. I think it's okay to scroll if you don't give people time to read it. So, China strongly disapproves of and protests against the U.S. attack on a civilian unmanned airship by force, said the foreign ministry. The Chinese side has, after verification, repeatedly informed the U.S. side of the civilian nature of the airship and conveyed that it is entirely to the U.S. due to force maneuver was totally unexpected. I don't know, that's kind of hard to interpret there. The Chinese side has clearly asked the U.S. side to properly handle the matter in a calm and professional and restrained manner. You put a balloon on my place and it's got the potential for carrying an EMP device, I'm not going to be calm about it, not for 1 second, and nor should we be. So let's see here. This is probably something they made more challenging things than that. Let's see. China will resolutely safeguard the legitimate rights and interests of the company concerned and reserves the right to make further responses if necessary. So, let's see. And also said that China strongly disapproves of and protests against the U.S. attack. It is a clear overreaction and a serious violation of international practice. Yeah, there's another quote somewhere. I got to be careful going through these. Somewhere they basically said that they reserve the right to retaliate. They reserve the right to retaliate and can be expected to retaliate in some fashion. They got really belligerent about it. That's why I am out here saying, you know what, EAMs, guys, we're in a situation, guys. We're in a bad situation. I'm tempted to, now, don't use bad language, Chuck Norris. Don't use bad language. Don't fall to temptation. If you use bad language, the mods will take it out. So don't do it. All right, John Black, what is BS? George Sprague, I love that man. Got one through German law, which is powered down but can be brought to factory specs. Man, George Sprague has got a great channel. I love watching him. He's always laughing. He's showing all his little toys. It's called the Slingshot channel, but he loves crossbows. Yeah, I like the heck out of George Sprague. He's one of my favorites. And the way he laughs, yeah, I really like that guy. Anyway, here is 4-star General Jack King. He's saying, hey, we should have taken it down. We had plenty of time. We could have got it over the Pacific. What did we wait for? Why don't we get over our military installations first? We could have got it before it got there. Now, see, one of the things you're not told is, we didn't get told about this until suddenly civilians were taking photographs of it in Montana. Inside sources tell me that their friends in NORAD were saying they knew about it all along and weren't permitted to say anything. And they had to ignore it. They couldn't say anything to anybody about it. And they were really mad about it. So it sounds like there was a cover-up run at first. Do you think Elon Musk is working with the WF in regards to Neuralink? He hates Klaus Schwab. He hates Klaus Schwab. Now, the Neuralink could be used for bad stuff, but that's not how he got into it. I'll tell you that dang balloon was a missile range for a week. You're right, Chuck Norris. It was. It comes with an export kill, so can be switched in jurisdictions where legal, like Holland. Export kit. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, Stan. Don't be talking about drugs now. Short ground to air missiles. That's what it would have taken. It would have taken a sound to take it out, basically. That's what you need to. Now they're giving a warning not to touch. If you're on the shore, if you're in the Carolinas and the stuff washes up on the shoreline, they're telling you not to touch it, mainly because we don't know what's in it. I don't think it would have had an EMP device in it since they claimed it, at least this time. I think this is a trial run for something, but it could have. It might have had a nuclear battery in it, but with all the solar rays, probably not. It could have had, now there could be hypergolic fuels in it, like a shoot. I'm getting brain lock here. Another name of the fuel, and it's not come to me. It could have had hypergolic fuels in it, which are highly caustic and very, very deadly. It might have some of that in there. So there could be chemicals in this that monomethyl hydrazine, for example, hydrazine fuels. Hydrazine is extremely deadly. So you don't even touch that stuff. That's possible that they had stuff like that in there. The Chinese government doesn't have the support of their population. Yeah, that's why they got to have a military, a force twice as big as their external military to manage their own people. The CCP is, there's a lot of American kids that think that China set the model. This is the way to go when we should all be just like China. I got nothing against the Chinese people. There's a lot of beautiful, wonderful people in China. I've met lots of them. I really think the world of so many people I've met from China. I always tell you guys that there's great, wonderful people from every country, from every village, every state, every hamlet, every town, every place of every race, color, creed, religion on earth. There's also bad people everywhere too. I think most of the people are like us. They just want to be left alone and to have a life, to try to pursue a living and do something for their kids if they have kids or whatever their goal is. But most people are not nefarious. A lot of people take advantage of things if we get a chance. But I think if, we could have a lot better world, but the problem is it floats. Power corrupts, and now split power corrupts absolutely. There's just a lot of that in the system. Bureaucracies metastasized. And our founding fathers did. They tried to write a government that limited to that, but eventually it has evolved into something else. So it was allowed to continue its mission because we have the best politicians Chinese money can buy. Wow, Arnold, you're hitting real close there. It was allowed to continue its mission because we have the best politicians Chinese money can buy. Wow, how well said. Hey, Redneck Pepper, how you doing? Good to see you. All right, let's see the graceful Cat 68. Great people all over the world. It's the leaders of government. Yeah, it's true. It's because it floats. Typically, kind of people that aspire to those kind of positions are at best sociopaths and at worst psychopaths. I kid you not. They're the kind of personalities that typically go into those things. So, yeah, in the world of war news, Russia is making some kind of threats allegedly against Moldova. They're trying to take Transnistria. Transnistria is a region that's got Russian-speaking people in it. And so they want to liberate Transnistria. Well, really, see, Moldova is the southern side of the Carpathian Mountains. That's the other gap they want to plug with their troops to keep them being invaded. The northern side is Polish Strait. Southern side is Moldova. That's where they want to be able to put troops because they don't have to guard thousands of miles. They can just do a few hundred miles on each side of the Carpathian Mountains and stop invasions from Europe. Now, like I said, if we had made them feel comfortable and or they never thought they'd had to worry about that, maybe none of this would have happened. I don't know. Young Poot ain't playing. Young Poot ain't playing. Meaning Putin. All I know is how to shoot it down. There you go, Chuck Norris. I think now sleep. Power ones are not human. Oh, April. April, it really strikes me that the planning necessary for overall guidance for things to go the way they are, as long as it's gone through so many different organizations, how's that humanly possible? So yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I'm doing it with a question, but I'm agreeing with you. Can't shoot any bullet faster than 1 mile. Now, a mile, oh, farther than 1 mile. Not pretty much not. Pretty much not. About all a rifle's good for. All right, but that's not accuracy. Hey, we used to target stuff at 400 yards when I was in the Army with the M16. But that would be like a silhouette of a human being. It wouldn't be a bullseye type target. Although we might have a bullseye on it sometimes. All my exchange students I work for are from around there, around what, Wally? Cedar Prep, Cheddar Prepper. Oh wait, Cheddar Pepper Prepper. Okay. Hey, I love cheddar. Boy, that's a tongue twister. Cheddar Pepper Prepper. Cheddar Pepper Prepper. Say that 12 times fast. Remember the UFO balloon that the parents said the kid might be inside? Could it have carried a small boy? Well, helium would suffocate you if you were inside a balloon. How you doing, Scott? It's a laugh with the people saying they'd shoot it down. Yeah, you're just too high. There's nothing you got that's going to hit it. My ground launch rocket, my first one hit 30,000 feet. And that's a pretty big leap for a ground launch, rocket the scale I launched. But still, that was shy of that too. My aircraft, it might have hit it, but it wasn't an AIM system. So to come up with something, look, I was at a big rocket meet where all these others, one of those clubs where, all the guys get together, the big dangerous rockets. Supposedly, some had rockets that were 20 foot long. They looked really impressive, but they're really big phallic symbols because they had a little bitty motor and a giant rocket. Well, my rocket was all motor and no fuselage. It was all rocket motor with a nose cap, little avionics on it, and some fins. So mine took off. The other guys were howling and screaming when mine flew, because it just blew their minds. It was so beyond anything they had out there. Our Halo Ground Launch 1 rocket, produced by the Huntsville, Alabama L5 Society. And we actually built it in Tim Pickens' garage. He was the guy who could build anything from nothing almost. Jim A. the Purse says, Green Eggs, exactly 100% what was going on. Well, I try. Nobody knows 100%, but I'm trying, guys. There's so much happening in the world, nobody can have it 100%, but I'm trying to get as close as I can. Long range shooting is a ballistic trajectory, different kind of shot. Okay, yeah, mine was not ballistic. That was a powered flight. Powered flight's going to get you further out. Ballistics, now there are guns that can shoot farther, like naval guns and such as that. Long barrel, a whole lot of powder, but that's not what you're firing from your shoulder. In fact, my friend Jerry Barger, who spent some time, let me go through this and I'll get back to this here. Let's look at these charts. Putin issues ominous threats with tensions west mount. So, here's what I want to read you. That's what he said. Those who plan to defeat Russia on the battlefield don't understand modern war with Russia and will be very different. We have ways of responding and won't just be limited to armored vehicles. Okay, what do you mean by that, guys? Y'all tell me. On other news, if you're feeling real happy and comfortable with your government, if you're loving all the 3-letter agencies, you'll love this news. Planned new FBI headquarters is twice the size of the Pentagon. What did I say about China? I said in China, they control their people, their internal military was twice as big as their other military, their outside military, their national defense military. Guys, the optics of this is something that scares me. I mean, what maybe I'm off my rocker. Maybe I'm just off my rocker. I should just love it so much, right, guys? How come I don't want to advance to these other tabs? I'm stuck here. That's what happens when you go to the FBI. You're stuck. Okay. NATO is saying it's taking a lot more ammunition and weapons and stuff than they thought it would to win this war. Well, I could have told you that. And I told you guys that we got, our military needs to prepare by buying ammo and building tender ships for the Navy. And I said that from a long time back. Well, that'd be a carpet I'd want. Whoa, that have people scared. They'd be stepping over that. And then, you know, guys, I'm not even going to comment to this. UN, the UN is getting into how you run your communities in your countries. The UN. Is this the job of the UN? Wow. Yeah, I could even get banned if I talk about that. So I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm just showing y'all what the UN's doing. This is Friends of Klaus. I'm going to stop the share. Friends of Klaus. I started to tell a story, and I got off of it. Come back here. What was I talking about, guys? They have some nerve. No kidding. No kidding. Gary Powers, YouTube was half fueled on purpose. Became a patsy. I don't know, Max. That's beyond what I know about. GMA, the person I remember when you were out in the pasture and the yard telling us what we could eat. Yeah, that's what I did. I got tons of videos telling you that stuff. Chinese established an investigation base in Patagonia, and they have a huge base of communication systems also set. Yeah, that's not good, guys. That is not good. All right, prepper. Let's see, cheddar pepper prepper. That's a tongue twister. Cheddar pepper prepper. Russia said the man in the outhouse might be Putin. Hey, late. Jim A says, please tell us, pray what we could eat. All right, guys. There are a lot of wild edibles that are available. The downside of the wild edibles is they're carb deficient. It's hard to find wild edibles that are rich in carbs. They're high in nutrients that you really need, but they're typically low in carbs. Now, you can get your calories from fats if you could get enough animal meat, but into an event like this, animals are going to become very scarce. Big game will not exist, except for the two-legged long pork that people will think you are, maybe. I'm hoping you're not looking for that, but that's what a lot of people will turn to. You know, we even have a shortage of insects these days. So the special forces used to train to eat moths. There's not as many moths. You'd starve to death trying to eat moths now. It used to be you put a light outside at night and you'd count 100 dead moths on the next morning. I don't see any anymore. I mean, there's some moths around, but it's nothing like it was. I've done a video on the shortage of insects. I remember when you used to look at a light outdoors and it just have a fog of bugs around. You look up now, it's like, ain't nothing there. Where are they at? Where's the bugs? We used to have our windshields covered with dead bugs, and there's very few now. It's just not like it used to be. So maple syrup makes anything edible. There you go. Squirrels. Yeah, I've ate plenty of squirrels. I have ate plenty of squirrels. Now, I love squirrel meat, but you know, yeah, it's the little stuff that's going to be probably the only thing, but they may get wiped out. They may not last long. I ride my horses and grow my own food. That's good, GMA Pulse. So I got two kind of videos I do on here primarily, or did early in the channel. I covered wild edibles, wild medicinals, and I may go into some more of that, especially when I get in Arizona, there's different plants around or somewhere else. And I've kind of covered most of what's available around here already. But I got enough out there. I've shown enough of those. If you live in an area where this stuff is growing, you should never starve to death. If you know that you can eat the inner bark of like pine trees, which I've taught, you can eat kudzu. There's so many little greens that grow in the wintertime. There's just a lot of stuff I've shown you how to eat, what to use for various medicinals, including painkillers, that you ought to be able to do fairly well. Like I said, the biggest problem is you're going to have a shortage of carbs. So you go to the store and buy buckets of rice and buckets of beans. Now, they're not that portable, but you know, you can put them in a 5-gallon bucket in a dried bag. And I bought some of that. I do that. But also, there is the option. You can go to prepwithgreg.com. Prepwithgreg.com. We got these buckets of food that lasts 25 years. That's a great thing for a prepper. Now it's, not as cheap as the rice. It's got a lot of rice in it, but it's 25 years. It's very storable. And when you look at it's very cheap on a per meal basis, cheaper than anything you're buying today on a per meal basis. So if you look at it that way, it's a big bargain. And in fact, the last 25 years, it's a big bargain. And right now, there's other prepping slides coming with. So you go to prepwithgreg.com, you'll find a special for 3 months supply on these right now. It's like $200 off. But you can click on the logo for My Patriot Supply, and you can get food in number 10 cans. But it's not just the food. There's other prepping supplies there, a lot of other prepping supplies. Grab a book or two on wild edibles. That's always a good thing. That's always a good thing. Learn them now while you can. Books will last when the internet's gone. Get your books. Get your books. But the good thing about videos, you can actually see what they look like. Sometimes the books are kind of hard to tell from, especially some of the older ones. The older ones usually got the best text information, but not always the best pictures. A lot of times they used to be drawn in, like the old Bill Gibbons books I used to use. But look, when I was a teenager, I built muzzle loaders. I built a cabin. I was eating wild medicinals. I was practicing trapping back when I was a kid. I was a prepper, basically, from then. Back then, people around there, I had a dream of becoming a mountain man. I was going to go out and live in the wilderness. And I was planning to run away basically from home and live up in the wilderness up in British Columbia, or maybe go up to Alaska. That's me. It's 16. Right there. I still got that corncob pop on that shelf right there. I'm pointing at one of them right there. That's not this one. This one's longer. I think I still got the stem that the bowl is gone. Yeah, that one's a 3 foot long. I used to hang that pipe in a gun rack. I think it's longer than one in my hands. In that case. Yep. And then just a matter of, so that would have been 1976. And by 1981, 5 years later, I'm meeting Gerard O'Neill with the Space Colonization Group. Just to show you some of my diversity of interest. They go way back, way back. I've been involved in these kind of things from way, way, way back. So it's nothing new, nothing new. You were raised right. I grew up in the country. My father hated people that wouldn't work. He didn't just dislike them, he hated them. Well, if you didn't work, he thought you was the sorriest thing. When he'd want to just pound somebody that wouldn't work. He hated people that wouldn't work. And my dad was a little bit of a, my dad was actually on the left side of the political spectrum, but he hated people that didn't work. So he did not share that in common with them. But frog legs seem more trouble than it's worth. Well, think about a mud bug, crawfish. Boy, you don't get much with a crawfish. You got to eat a ton of them to have anything to eat. Frog legs aren't too bad, but there's smaller stuff you can get. Greg has a country boy. Greg was a country boy, not a city slicker. That's right. That's right. I had never shot a person yet. I say yet. So I was taking rabbits when I was a kid, rabbits and squirrels. And when I was a kid, the deer hadn't spread out as much as they are today. It took decades for the deer to get back up in here. When I was a kid, where I grew up, there was no deer. There's deer there now, but they weren't then. I mean, we got wiped out in the 20s, and it took, or before it took decades for them to come back up. Decades and decades. Are you English? Am I English? Why do I sound English? I'm a Southerner. I'm from Alabama. Yeah, I'm from Alabama. I grew up in Alabama. I was born in Alabama. I grew up in Alabama. I went in the Army, went to went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, then went to Fort Greely, Alaska. I had my training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. I went to Fort Bragg, spent over a year at Fort Bragg, and then I went about almost a year and a half at Fort Bragg. And I spent 2 years. Let's see, I was a little over about a year and a half at Fort Bragg, and I spent 2 years at Fort Greely, Alaska, 2 years and a month. Greg, maybe start making videos on how to make a simple hydroponic set for everyday things. I do aquaponics, not hydroponics. I've got a little bit of video on my aquaponic systems. I do the fish, not chemicals. Alabama, that's right. Come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Oh, Susie-Anner, don't you cry for me. Come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Your ancestors. Well, my ancestry is almost all Nordic. Believe it or not. It kind of surprised us when we checked it out, but yeah, it's almost all Nordic. Greg, I'm presuming you know about the Lumbrog. No, I don't. I can't pronounce it. What is that? Yeah, I'm pretty much Viking. Got a lot of Viking ancestry. But those Vikings settled into northern France and what became Normandy. There were the Normans, and they invaded England in 1066. Yeah, I had ancestors that was part of that invasion, invading England. So, and they were darn near royalty. In fact, they were. I had ancestors that were knights, and one of my ancestors was ran the Tower of London. One of my direct ancestors. One of my direct ancestors was a primary coach driver for Queen Elizabeth I. I'm having a blast tonight. Okay, well, thank you, April. So yeah, I got some interesting ancestry and a bunch of rednecks and hillbillies. I am Viking. All right, very good, Jim. A the Pulse. Yeah, I got a lot of Viking in me. A lot of Viking. You see that up there? Y'all can see that. You too. There you go. I used AI chat yesterday. Yeah, I got another video on that. I just filmed today. Hang on. Oh. I just did a video from my Galactic Greg's channel, AI chat. Well, the story, I just recorded. I have not posted it yet. I'll post it probably tomorrow. I had AI chat write a proposal on how to develop a system for AI system that would run a spacecraft. Then I had it do the story for that AI system, ruling that, the thinking that the mission was its #1 goal. So it decided to do away with the crew to preserve the mission, which it thought the crew was a threat to the mission, which is kind of the basis of the story 2001: A Space Odyssey. So it's got a lot of similarity to that story. So I hope I'll be posting that tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get it done in a timely manner. It might wind up being the next day. I got a couple other stories. I did 2 videos today for Galactic Greg's channel, and I got another one I want to produce. So I got a lot of material to put on Galactic Greg's real soon. All right, here we go. And this is supposed to be Huginen and Mininen. You know what I'm talking about. So what would that be? Scottish Irish. Well, yeah, you realize a lot of the Scots were actually of Viking descent too. Because the Picts that lived in Scotland they pretty much died out. A whole lot of the Scottish blood line today is actually of Viking descent. In fact, the Vikings invaded the coastal areas. A lot of the English are of Viking descent. So I had ancestors that lived in England, that lived in London. I had ancestors that were royalty. On my mom's side, the Bedingfields Benefils were the same thing. There were 3 brothers that came over, Colonel Oglethorpe, as officers in the British Army in the day to oversee the prison camp in Georgia. They stayed and became farmers. My father needed my care. That is why I haven't been around. Hey, good to see you back, the GMA. All right, so we're not going to stay here much longer. Let's see, do we cover? Oh, I got some other articles here I want to show y'all. We're going to go back to, we're going to go back. We're going to talk about, oh, I didn't show y'all that. Anyway, I guess me too. We're going to talk about the train blast. Hang on, guys, give me a second. Can I share this? Ding, 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 ding. Guys are having a rough time up here in Ohio. That train that was derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, the fire is still burning. You guys brought this to me a couple of nights ago. English, Viking, Welsh, Scottish, and Irish. Okay, Seth. My brother was Air Force. Bless you, Greg. Valhalla. Oh, yeah, nobody named what that picture was, did you? We have a Viking funeral for my father. Oh, okay. Did anybody name what that was on my picture? I gave y'all a hint. This is what it was supposed to be. I told you the ravens at his side was hugging an immunity. My family have always been warriors. And mine too, Chuck. My dad was World War II. His dad was World War I. Merlin? No, not Merlin. Merlin didn't have hugging and immunity. Now, if you have Viking Lenins ought to know what that is. All right, so this train is burning. It's still burning. It ain't gone out. And they decided to evacuate people in the area. Within the last 2 hours, a drastic temperature change has taken place in a rail car, and there is now potential for a catastrophic tanker failure, which could cause an explosion with potential for deadly shrapnel traveling up to a mile. Shrapnel. But there's also a gas hazard. So there's a shrapnel hazard. There's a gas hazard. It's concerned about chlorine gas because they found that there's vinyl chlorine. Yeah, right there. Here we go. Let's see. Let's look at this, guys. Yeah, the train derailed about 15 miles south of Youngstown Friday evening. It's still burning, guys. More than 100 cars. 20 of the 100 cars were carrying hazardous materials. About 5 of those cars were carrying vinyl chloride. So you could get chlorine gas out of this when that stuff burns, guys. Chlorine gas is nasty. So you got a potential of hazardous materials, chlorine gas, and shrapnel going over a mile. So they're evacuating everybody for a mile out all around this thing. This is no joke, guys. This is a serious situation. It's what you get with trains. Now I got a material data safety sheet here to show y'all. This is a material safety data sheet on vinyl chlorides. Excuse me. And so they said the vinyl chloride contains vinyl chloride. Well, really? Hey, no, yeah, vinyl chloride contains vinyl chloride. Well, that's kind of like that's an oxymoron. A known human cancer agent may cause cancer. Contact with liquid may cause frostbite to exposed tissue, may produce symptoms of central nervous system depression, including headache, dizziness, nausea, loss of balance, and drowsiness, cause skin irritation, eye irritation, may cause respiratory irritation. Yeah, it can kill you too. Cause damage to the liver, the blood, nervous system, lymphatic system, musculoskeletal system, through a prolonged or repeated exposure, causes damage to lungs through prolonged or repeated exposure, or I say by inhalation, suspected of causing genetic defects, suspected reproductive hazard. But somewhere down here it tells you can get asphyxiated by it within the sheet. Where is it? Extreme. Yeah, here we go. Extremely flammable gas. Contains gas under pressure. It contains gas under pressure. It may explode if heated. May displace oxygen and cause rapid suffocation. Otherwise, it can kill you. This gas can kill you. That's what it said. It took it a while to get down there. It wasn't even in the top stuff up here where it should have been. My humble opinion. How come that's way down there and not up here? Because a lot of your reports are not written with a scientific mind. They're written for publication. They're written by management. They're written by people that's got to change the spin on it. You know, a lot of stuff has a spin put into it. Any Wisconsin watchers, I don't know, Hell Odin. There you go, Scott. That is who it is. It's Odin. Anybody else say that? Wotan, Woden. Okay, the Sasquatch. Sean Stryker. All right, y'all got it. Y'all got it. A friend of mine from Utah who is of Viking descent made that for me. She's actually of Norwegian descent. My first husband had royalty ancestors. I have England, Germany, France, Wales, Norway. Yeah. Well, a lot of people got royalty ancestors. I'm not using that as a bragging right. None of the royalty weren't exactly the nicest people in the world back in the day. But yeah, let's see. If digested blocks of pineal gland, yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. Wouldn't doubt that for a minute. Liver cancer, yeah, probably does. Written by AI. Oh, you think this is written by AI? Hey, no, not from 2015, but hey. Yeah, I should ask AI to write. Oh, that would be a good thing. Vinyl chloride. We might do that. Hang on. That might be worth doing. Uh-oh. Please stand by. Checking my browser. Right? Hey. A material safety sheet for vinyl chloride. Just cut and pasted it. I hadn't even told it what a material safety, I should say data sheet is. Not told it. I'm not told it what should go in there. Not told it Jack Dillon. And a lot of what you get back from this system depends on how you prompt it. So let's just see how it responds now. Let's just see what it says. We're live with ChatGPT, guys. Product, vinyl chloride, emergency phone number, address, manufacturer, date of issue. These are things you put on the sheet. Chemical formula. A colorless gas with sweet chloroform-like odor is highly flammable, can form explosive mixtures with the air, is toxic by inhalation, and may cause serious health effects. Well, this is better than what I read. Because the other was politically written. I think this has been more honest. Inhalation, short-term exposure of high concentrations of vinyl chloride can cause headache, dizziness, drowsiness, unconsciousness, and death. See, that's what the other beat around the bush and put down in the bottom. Just come out and say, wow, this is better than the one that's on the internet. Holy guacamole, smoke-a-moly, guys. First aid measures. See, I didn't even, wow, did the other even cover first aid measures? Yeah, it did. Flashpoint, minus 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Holy smoke. Look here, it's got to stay cold so we can get frostbite from it. Minus 76. Holy guacamole, smoke-a-moly. That's the flashpoint. Auto ignition temperature is 626 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's got to get hot to go into auto ignition. Flammable limits. Okay. Extinguish. Wow, this is covering a lot of stuff. Accident release measures, handling and storage, exposure controls, respiratory protection. Guys, check this out. Look at this. Here it's colorless. Sweet. Oh my God, sweet. That's the last thing we need. Specific gravity, 1.5, where air equals 1. Wow. Wow, guys. All right, we're going to do we're going to do some sessions. Some of our live chat nights are going to be Ask GPT. We're going to make this a feature in some of our live sessions here, just for giggles for a while. We might get tired of it. The only reason I'm here is so everyone knows this man has the knowledge to feed your family out of your front yard. Please listen. Well, thank you, Jim made the pulse. Yeah, I can go outdoors and eat. That's a fact. Greg is sounding like a prescription commercial on the daytime TV. I sound like one Ace Lee, or this does. Greg is sounding like a prescription commercial. I sound like a commercial for a prescription. How is that? PVC plastic. Yeah, that's what it is, guys. Really. That's what happens if a PVC pipe burns. Gas mask is the minimum. Yeah, no kidding. You don't want to burn PVC. Yeah, you get a little chlorine gas out. It may not be real bad, but yeah, you get some. What are your favorite books and documentaries? Wow, Sid, that's a good question. When I was a kid in high school, I was reading the Patton Papers and Total War, Strategy, The Gray Ghost of the Confederacy, which was a book about the guerrilla warfare that took place between Missouri and Kansas, where the war between the states really started and ended. The nature of that was so personal because it was very personal there. It was the people in Kansas and the people in Missouri fighting against each other. And it was, the movie Outlaw and Josie Wells is almost a documentary. That is the most accurate movie that covers that period out there, point blank, bar none. Slightly lighter than air, so it will travel close to the ground. I mean, it's heavier ground, so it's going to go faster than air. Dissipate in a dissipating cloud, just a little bit heavier than air. Greg, tell them about the 3 S's. Oh yeah. So there's 3 things you got to bear in mind, and it's the threes. You can live without air and be conscious for roughly 3 seconds. And you can hold air longer than that, but then you've got 3 minutes that you could be in trouble for temperature if you're in a real bad spot, like the Arctic or somewhere like that. Really, it's 3 minutes for air, to be honest. If you hold your breath, but yeah, you can go. Heck, who can hold their breath more than 2 minutes? Not many. 3 people. Okay, well, I'm not sure about the 3 people, but you can hold, guys, you can only go 3 days without water. You can only do 3 weeks without food. But when you look at the 2, the food is what everybody focuses on, but it's the water you need the most. You don't do 3 days without water. So people don't focus on it. You don't think about it. You take water for granted. Water is very heavy to tote around. You can't carry it with you everywhere. You can carry food easier. So the thing to bear in mind is to have good water purification and sanitation. That's 2 different things. Let me end this share here. Stop share. Bang. Have good water purification and sanitation. So you got to clear it out, get all the junk out of it, and then kill the bugs that's in it. And a lot of these filters only take out the bacteria. The filter don't get viruses. Even the best of them miss most of the virus. I don't care what they advertise, they're lying to you. Now, unfortunately, the water may not be chock full of viruses over, but you can get deadly viruses out of water. So you need to be able to purify and sanitize your water. There's another saying, Senator, don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. Yeah, that was out of the movie Outlaw and Josie Wells. Sure enough, that came out of that. That was one place that was quoted. Outlaw and Josie Wells. How you doing, Colonel Cole? Max Simpson, hi from a basement in Turkey where I'm being blown right now. Are you in Turkey, Mark? Seriously? Where I'm being blown right now. You're like being blown to Turkey. You feel like it? Turkey's having some rough times. Hey, Night, Mr. Watts. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the info you give us and helping us stay out of the hive. Yeah, and that's why I show y'all the hive. I'm giving it right to you. I'm showing you the hive from the inside. Here in Europe, The UN wide mouth blue UN Hope food safe barrels with metal clasp are the best price point for dwellers without land. Okay. I'm getting over this terrible cold. Okay, April. Greg, is water soluble? Stuff is soluble in water. Usually, when you think about solubility, you're thinking about what will dissolve in water. Is water soluble? I never thought about it that way. What would it be soluble in, Arnold? I mean, that's water is usually our baseline, right? Grow your own food, right, Jimmy? So what I cover, Martin, yeah, are you in an earthquake? Yeah, they got some terrible earthquakes in Turkey right now, guys. Terrible earthquakes over there. Let's see. I might have to open up USGS. I might do that. That won't too many things open because I'm just about maxed out on memory. Let me check my memory real quick. Yeah, we can do this. USGS earthquake. We'll go there in a second. Latest earthquakes. Yeah, they're being rocked. There's tsunami warnings, and right now there's tsunami warnings. I hear it in Italy. So share screen. Bada bing, bada bang. All right, here's the United States. Yeah, the San Juan de Fuca, the plate here has always got little earthquakes around here. Look, we got something above Yellowstone here. That's Yellowstone's right here. Puerto Rico is always rocking. Man, Puerto Rico's one of the rockingest places. Oh, look at that. Woo! That's nasty looking. That's a whole bunch of them, all clustered right there near Syria. Wow, they're being rocked hard. It's bowling. Wow, look at that, guys. Oh my God, it's coming closer. There's some big ones in here too. This whole line has been erupting. The most recent one is this one. 4.8. Time is 00:54:57 universal time. Okay. This looks like the big one here. The 7.8. This one was 7.8. This one's 6.7. That looks like the two biggest ones. Guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 earthquakes. 24 earthquakes right here. 24 earthquakes. Ooh. In Turkey, right next to Syria. 24. I heard that they felt them in Israel. 24 earthquakes. Man, this land is rocking hard. 5.0. Yeah, that would be devastating in the eastern seaboard. 5.0, 4.8. You know, like 4.2, and it really did damage in Washington, D.C., right? 4.7. 4.4. 4.4. 4.5. That one's a little bit bigger. Let's see, 5.5. 4.6. Yeah, look, guys, these are even fairly good size there. 5.0. See, that one is 6.7, and that one's 7.8. That's your two biggest ones right there, right beside each other. So this whole area has been just unzipping. Those are powerful, powerful earthquakes, guys. Especially 7.8. Jim A. Share. Thank you. Thank you. 7.8 is a big earthquake. That's huge. Yeah, I imagine we're going to see some interesting video tomorrow. Yeah, it's all concentrated right there. Look at that. Got a recent one over here in Indonesia. 4.9. That one's pretty good. So this is a huge earthquake zone here. There's two plates. One has been subducted. 5.1. Alaska's been pretty active. Aleutian Islands typically do get active, but we got stuff going on inside here. Cantwell, Alaska, 3.1. Wow. Oh yeah, that balloon came up right through here and went all the way in. It flew in right over basically the Yukon River. Ain't nothing up in here, guys, hardly. Came back down through the Yukon Territory, British Columbia, probably Alberta, right into Montana. Arnold probably went right over your house. That balloon. But anyway, so let's go back here and look at these earthquakes. So guys, they're having a terrible, terrible time in Turkey right now. I didn't know this place was that earthquake prone. 7.8. Wow. All right, guys, there it is. We're going to call it a night here. 7.8. Got 239 people in. That's pretty good for the hour, especially late as I started this video. 7.8. Loud, 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 loud. Guys, Turkey is, Turkey is, they've committed genocide in the past on the Armenian people, on the Kurdish people. They don't play nice. They are potentially, they have a lot of tension. There could be a war between two different members of NATO. Turkey and Greece are really at odds with each other. Turkey and Greece, two members of NATO, could go to war against each other. Some people talking about Turkey coming out of NATO. I don't know. Turkey has kept Sweden and Finland out of NATO. And Norway's been in NATO, but Norway never want to be part of the European community. So I applaud them for that. They don't want to be part of the beast. No feast with the beast. All right, guys, enough of that. Stop the share. Turkey might sink. No, they're not going to sink, but they're having a rough time. The earthquake doesn't make sense. That's not an area that I've heard about that would be so prone to earthquakes. There's always been there have been earthquakes in the Mideast. Even Israel's had them. It's recorded from the Bible. Italy is real bad with earthquakes. But 7.8 there, ooh, who would have thought that? So maybe, Aisley, maybe just because of their tensions with the Kurds and everybody else. They're trying to run over people. I don't have I have no empathy for Recep Erdogan, the president of Turkey. I mean, I might have empathy, but I have no love for him, no respect. Let me put it that way. He is he's a dangerous man in my humble opinion. He's trying to build an empire, and he's just he's got a very powerful military. Turkey's got a very powerful military. Big quake in 1939. Well, thanks, Max. Okay, all right, then that does make sense. Constantinople. Yeah, the Turks took Constantinople, which used to be the capital of the Byzantine Empire. They basically destroyed the Byzantine Empire when they took Constantinople. That was the last vestige of it. And so their big mosque in Constantinople used to be a huge church. And it was an Orthodox Christian church. It was kind of like you find in Russia, Orthodox Christians. It wasn't the Roman Empire divided into two parts, and the Catholic Church divided into two parts. There was the Orthodox, and there was a Roman Catholic. So they were both a sort of Catholic, but they had different precepts on things. Like the Orthodox would not worship icons. The Bible says don't worship icons, but you don't. I understand that that's not. Maybe the Roman Catholics define that different, but to me it seems that they're into. They became Istanbul, exactly. John Cole, Constantinople became Istanbul when Turks took it over. So that was Constantinople. Yeah, this actually was kind of a bio warfare they won by. They were using catapults to fling corpses in, and bubonic plague set up. And it probably had a lot to do with expanding the bubonic plague. Do you think you can set off yeah, the big volcano in the Gulf of Santorini? So I don't know. Santorini went off about 1500 BC, right out here, and there's just the rim of the crater left. It's got beautiful houses on it now, but you know that whole area could blow up. There's the big one right there. So, yeah, it caused tidal wave throughout the Mediterranean. There was one that blew up during the Minoan days. Before that, it was even worse. But some people think that volcano going off coincides with the plagues that hit Egypt in the era of Moses, and that all played in together. That was part of the plagues that hit the Egyptians when Moses was trying to get out of Egypt. I don't know, guys. We need to call it night. I got to get up early. So, John called over 50 dead due to Turkish earthquake. 500. Wow. Well, that's just what we know now. I guess it's getting to be daybreak over there now, so they're probably getting some video coming out of there. Yeah, there'll be a lot more than that. I'm thinking a lot more. 100 plus buildings collapsed. Yeah. Oh, 1,000 buildings collapsed. Jeez. 1,000 buildings. Wow, guys. All right, let's see. Yeah, hang on, guys. My share button. Yeah. My share. I'm not sharing. Am I? Did y'all see that? Did I share that at all? Was I sharing on that screen? I thought I had share going, but I'm not sure now. Did I just shut it down? Was I sharing it? Greg, you're the man. Thank you, Zen. Was I sharing that or not? Oh, I wasn't sharing. Okay, guys, sometimes I think I got something. I think I'm sure. I thought I hit the share button. Hang on a minute. Sorry about that. What's that earthquake in Turkey? Let's get another. I bet I thought I was sharing it. Thought I hit the share button. Maybe I didn't click it right or something. All right, here's what I was talking about, guys. Here's all the earthquakes that's been going on here. 24. There's 24 it's showing on this chart. It might be smaller ones. It's just not registered. But there's 24 showing on this chart. That one is the 7.8. And this one's a 6.7. A 6.7 would blow our minds in most of the United States. 7.8 is really bad. Ah, that's a new one right there. I guess that puts it up 25. 4.6. Yeah, that's a new one. So I guess they're up to 25 there now. So it's still going on. This is not over. These earthquakes are still happening, aftershocks. And the aftershocks are, you know, there's some strong aftershocks. That's a 4.6. Throughout this whole area. That's a huge area right there, guys. That is huge. That is a long line for earthquakes to be happening in. Yeah, that's rough. That's awful. So I'm going to show y'all. I pulled up Google to find stories on earthquakes. So this must have been before the 7.8 one hit. Oh, I don't have Google on this computer or Twitter on this computer. Yeah, I can see buildings crushed here. Oh my God. Well, there you are. I hit the back arrow. Multiple apartment buildings have collapsed. Yeah, this is not comprehensive news. There, I killed more than 500. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot more than that. Here it says killed at least 640 people. Yeah, buildings are just piles of concrete. Yeah, that's a mess. That's a mess. You don't want to be lying under all that junk. Okay, we're gonna get out of that. Wow. All right, guys, that's rough. That's rough. Whew. That's rough. Not trying to be a fear monger. This is my El Cheapo Grand All Call System like Lee's. What is that? What are you saying there, Arnold? This is my El Cheapo Brandy All Call System. So what are you saying? What's your call there, Arnold? What are you telling us? Watch for the antipole effect. Many trigger tsunami in the south. Oh, might trigger tsunami in the south. Yeah, all right. That's where the waves travel around the world to the other side of the planet, 180 degrees apart from that. Interesting. An earthquake that strong, you might get it. You might. Yeah, they don't have building codes over there worth a hoot, you know, but then they're not expecting that. It's like problem on the East Coast, we don't have good building codes. Earthquakes here, when the New Madrid fault goes, Memphis and St. Louis is going to be in huge trouble. St. Louis and Memphis will be in huge trouble. Prayers for Turkey's people. Amen, Rochelle. I got nothing against Turkey's people. I have worked with some great people from Turkey. I have worked with great Turkish people. I was ratting on Recep Erdogan, and I named them out. I didn't call out the people of Turkey. I don't do that. I'm here. I always say there's good people anywhere in the world. There's also bad people. They like bad people like to find if they got any sense to them. They like to find their ways in the government. It seems like, or a control organization. Like being, I want to be in control. I gotta have control. I have power. So it's mine. It's mine. It's my precious. My precious. My precious. Yeah, they obsessed with power. Have a lot of family in St. Louis. Not good, Colorado Jan. I don't know when St. Louis, when the New Madrid's going to go off again. I mean, it has a cycle to it. You know, it's just like, don't quote me. I think it's like 300 years or better, usually 350, something like that, maybe 500. So we're not quite due by that cycle because we had earthquakes there in 1812. That don't mean you couldn't get earthquakes, though. It don't mean it can't happen. Earthquakes in the east are so shallow. Yeah, eastern earthquakes are shallow. Also, in the eastern seaboard, it's like one big plate. And so what happens in one area shakes the whole place. You know, and out west, everything's broken up. You know, when the Rockies were built, all the plates and everything, parts of the crust, it's just a jumble pile, and it don't all transmit. But when the New Madrid fault went, It was ringing church bells in Boston. That's because this eastern part of the country is like one big, huge plate, and it will all shake together to some degree. I mean, it won't shake as much as there, but you know, it goes off inverse square law pretty much, but it still transmits. It transmits a lot better than out west. New Madrid has no nuclear facility. Oh, has nuclear facility. No. New Madrid, Missouri. Yeah, that's one of the problems. There are nuclear plants on the Mississippi River. I have land to bug out to if I have to. That's a good thing, Chuck Norris. Negative on tsunami from Turkey earthquake. Tsunamis are caused only by volcanoes with power class that flow in the body. Okay. Subduction zone earthquakes greater than 8.5 and undersea volcano. Okay, very good. If you get a seamount sliding off. Is there sound? Can you not hear me? North American crayon. Yeah, a bunch of people was telling me there was no sound in my video I did last one I uploaded. I could hear it, and lots of other people heard it, but for some reason there was a number of people weren't hearing it. I was told y'all need to refresh your computers. I think y'all might have been doing it on your TVs or something. They might have had a problem with that. But there was sound in the video. My house took some structural damage from Sparta, 2002, 5.1, only 5 miles deep. Trees were doing the hula dance. Sparta, Tennessee? What, Sparta, where, W? I went and watched the eclipse. I went to Sparta, Tennessee to watch that last eclipse come through. Because I didn't want to be anywhere near a big city. And there were still tons of people in that area. I like living on a huge plate that shakes. Okay, Teresa. You like to dance, huh? Loud and clear. Okay, put my finger in any relation to the East Africa Rip Zone. I don't think so. East Africa Rip Zone is, you know, your plates are separating out. Greg, make sure you don't forget, do a search for, worms. Oh, you think that's related to the bug? Hang on. I'll find the chat room over here. Blow it up. I have to copy that on this computer. Yeah, the river flowed upstream during the 1812 earthquakes. It's the same as African nightcrawler. What is that worm? That's no, I'll search it in Google. Google usually does better than Yahoo these days. Oh, side effects. What is this stuff? Oh, I'll have to look at that later. Excuse me. I'm gonna type worms in to go with that. Recombinant protein production of earthworm lumbra whatever. Potential benefits of an earthworm extract. All right, I'll have to look into that. I'll have to look into that one. Since Jim Greg, you deserve some soup. Yeah, I got to go, guys. I got to go. I got to get up early. Sit back from Fort Scott, Bourbon County, Kansas. I'm looking up the movie you recommended, The Outlaw. It's The Outlaw in Josie Wells. I don't know how that's a funny name. Just look up Clint Eastwood and scan through his movies. I definitely recommend that movie. I watched it was in the theaters when I was like 16. I took a girl on a date to see that movie. Yes, sir. That was one of my earliest dates I ever had. I was just a kid. All right, guys, let's call it a night. All right, let's see. Clint Eastwood, best movie. Yeah, I like that movie. 1976. That's the year I got my driver's license, guys. They live a good movie, like a good movie, brilliant film. Yeah, that when they were talking about their Lindsay Woolsey shirt and how they embroidered it, that was real. He depicted them using cap and ball revolvers. A lot of the old westerns, it's supposed to be that era. They weren't using cap and ball revolvers. Uh, he had the right rifle for targeting long range. Just a lot of stuff. But he also hit on, in the end, he's got a band that consists of Yankees and Southerners and Indians and, just about every big cross section of people that had fought each other at different times. They all come together like a family unit in the end. They fight together. Rose of Alabama. That's right. They sung the Rose of Alabama in that show. So, they wind up bonded together and forming their own little tribe, their own little fighting unit, but they come from all these different backgrounds. Yeah, and Sandra Locke was in that movie. Her mother was from Huntsville, Alabama. Sandra Locke's mom was from Huntsville, Alabama. Yeah, I like I like the Missouri boat ride. All this for a ferry boat. Yep. I like the Missouri boat ride. So I like that part. The guys were panicking because they were loading up the ferry and about to come across all the Union troops, and he was just acting real nonchalant. Nothing to worry about. Then they started coming around. Oh, it's coming! Don't worry about it. Then they get about halfway across the river, he just ups his rifle and pow, shoots the rope, and the ferry goes down the river. Missouri boat ride. This is my death song. Yeah, there you go. There's a ton of good quotes from that movie. Now spit. Remember that? Yeah, the mangy red bone hound. Now spit. Granny, hell has come for breakfast. I missed Granny, Matterman, and Cha Cha tonight. Yeah, well, we did start late. So that's probably why. Pretty deep film, sad stories. But I think the best part of that movie is where him and Ten Bears met. And the quotes, if you can get between their meeting, go back and watch that movie. When he and Ten Bears meet each other and they form a truce. I thought Indians were supposed to be quiet. Not in that movie. Not in that movie. So he and Ten Bears, and they got together. That was some of the most powerful quotes, and spoke a lot of truth about politics and people, and that's the way it ought to be. So you check that movie out. That movie was brilliant, and I like those quotes. They had the old medicine woman in there. They have Granny in there. Medicine woman, Granny, making poultices. So it's been many years since I've seen Outlaw with Josie Wells. Yep. Check it out, guys. It's worth watching. It's worth watching. I actually played some snippets at one of our live sessions one night, and I got copyright strikes. I thought if I did just little bitty snippets, I'd get away with it. Nope. Endeavor to preserve. That's right, Indie Space. That's what the Cherokee chief said that Lincoln told them. And they went home and thought about it. They were trying to make peace with the Union. And Lincoln told them that, and they went home, thought about it, and declared war on the Union. Yeah, the Indian tribes of the Oklahoma Territory sided with the Confederate States, in which they had been ran earlier. Yeah, wars make strange occurrences, strange things. So what's going to happen in World War III with India? What are they going to do? They got Russia and China's on one side. The Indians love Russia and they hate China. They probably fight China. But it's going to be a strange battle, strange alliances in this World War III if it breaks out with all these parties. Let's hope it don't. I'll be up watching it again. That Richard Burton from Rhodesia that is mostly unknown too. Richard Burton? You got to be kidding me. Endeavor to preserve. He's not unknown. Endeavor to persevere. There you go. Endeavor to persevere. That's right. Smiling Buddha. Endeavor to persevere. So, not preserve, persevere. 10 bears. Oh yeah, 10 bears. And Clint Eastwood's character, Joseph Wells, they had a really good conversation. I think that was the best conversation ever made in a movie, bar none. So we'll go for now. I gotta head out of here. I gotta get up early. We pat worms today. I did 2 videos. Neither one of them been posted yet, but I did got the worms ready to ship. I got a guy come by and got some, and I got to go to work into NASA tomorrow. I got to go early, but I got to ship these worms before I go in, so I got to call it a night. Anyway, I want to thank all y'all for watching. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, mods. A Man Called Horse. Oh, that was a good movie. Oh yeah, that's a real good movie. I liked A Man Called Horse. That was, what was his name? British actor. You know, he was with the Sioux Indian, and he went through the ceremony where he had himself, you know, pierced and hanging from the ceiling. Yeah, they actually did that stuff. You're not Rocket Man. Yep. Good night, everybody. Thank you all for being here again. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, mods. Thank you for the super chat. And let's see if we get the names, games, or vultures. Yeah, well, thank you all for being here. Just thank you all for being here. It's late. I got to go. So I'm going to say